These days, many of the best players in the NBA are international players, but one of the greatest and most influential international players also happens to be one of the most overlooked stars in NBA history. Today, we're going to look at the career of Detlef Schrempf, the first European to be an NBA All-Star. Even though Detlef played in the NBA for 16 years, he's probably more famous for his post-playing career. You might recognize him for his cameos in the show Parks and Rec, but what he's most known for is his charity work. Detlef Schrempf remains one of the greatest and most humble guys to ever play in the NBA. In 1996, he created the Detlef Schrempf Foundation, which raised more than $20 million for children and families in Seattle. In 2012, he earned the Paul Allen Award for Citizenship at the Seattle Sports Star of the Year banquet. In the summer of 2020, he co-founded the Erase the Hate campaign to fight against racism and social inequality. He's a big social justice advocate. That's just a surface level look at things though. He's done so much for people in the Pacific Northwest. He's a genuinely good guy. But what about his playing career? Detlef Schrempf was born on January 21st, 1963 in Leverkusen, West Germany. He started playing basketball when he was 13 years old for German youth teams, before he came to America as a foreign exchange student when he was 17. Schrempf played 1 year at Centralia High School in Centralia, Washington, leading them to the 1981 3A state championship. After that, Detlef decided to stay in America and enrolled at the University of Washington. While majoring in international business, Detlef scored 1,449 points. He was named to the All-Pac-10 first team twice and was voted third team All-American in 1985 by the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Detlef also played for West Germany in the 1984 Olympics. In his senior year of college, he put up 15.8 points, 8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists on 55.8% from the field. Detlef was drafted 8th overall in the 1985 NBA draft. Let's start with the profile. He was a 6'10", 235-pound small/power forward. To me, the most underrated aspect of his game was his work in the post. He had nice footwork and a good fadeaway. He was also pretty tricky with his pump fakes and spins. He was also an explosive dunker, but what made him unique were his skills. Detlef could handle the ball, and was known for his flashy passing ability, and more specifically, his behind-the-back bounce passes. Detlef was also a great outside shooter, both from the mid-range and from 3. This made him a unique threat. If Detlef was playing small forward, he could use his height to his advantage. If he had a bigger guy on him, he could fire a few shots from deep range. He had great versatility that would make him successful in today's NBA. Detlef was drafted by the Dallas Mavericks. Before there was Dirk Nowitzki, there was Detlef Schrempf. The 80s Mavs are one of the most underrated teams in NBA history, and they had a good rotation of forwards, so Detlef spent his first 3 seasons mostly coming off the bench. The Mavs made it to the second round of the 1986 playoffs, but they would lose to the Lakers in 6 games. In the 86-87 season, Detlef shot a great 47.8% from 3, finishing second in the league for three-point percentage. He was invited to the 1987 three-point contest, and he did well, finishing as the runner-up behind Larry Bird. Detlef was invited back for the 1988 three-point contest, but unfortunately, he would set a historically low record. In round 1, he scored 15 points, but in round 2, he only scored 5. It set a record for the fewest points scored in a round of the three-point contest, and the only other player who scored 5 points in a round was Michael Jordan in 1990. The 1988 Mavs would make it to the West Finals, but they lost to the Lakers in 7 games. Midway through the 88-89 season, Detlef was acquired by a desperate Indiana Pacers team that went 28-54 and had 4 different head coaches throughout the season. This squad had players like Reggie Miller, Chuck Person, Rick Smits, and Vern Fleming. In his first full season with Indiana in 1990, Detlef had a breakout year. He put up 16.2 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 3.2 assists on 51.6% from the field. He spent the majority of the season coming off the bench, but he was still third in scoring behind Reggie Miller and Chuck Person. Detlef put up almost identical numbers in the 90-91 season, while playing all 82 games. But this time, he was named the NBA's 6th Man of the Year year, becoming the first international player to win the award. He repeated his achievement the next season, as he won his second straight Sixth Man of the Year award for putting up 17.3 points, a career-high 9.6 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, on a career-high 53.6% from the field. Detlef would also play for Germany in the famous 1992 Olympics. After turning 30 years old, Detlef became the starting power forward for 60 of the Pacers' 82 games for the 92-93 season. This would arguably be the best year of his career, as he dropped 19.1 points, 9.5 rebounds, a career-high 6 assists, and 1 steal. He became the Pacers' second option, and even came close to outscoring Reggie Miller. He finished the season as the only player in the league who was top 20 in points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game, and for his efforts, he was awarded with his first ever All-Star selection, making him the first European player to ever make the All-Star game. Despite developing into an All-Star, Indiana traded Detlef to the Seattle Supersonics. This team had made it to the 1993 West Finals, before losing to the Phoenix Suns in 7 games. They were led by their defensively elite point guard Gary Payton and their freakishly athletic power forward Shawn Kemp. Since Kemp had the 4 spot covered, Schrempf was now the starting small forward. He started 81 of his 82 games, and finished second in minutes behind Gary Payton. Detlef was a key addition to the Sonics, as the team finished with a 63-19 record. In the last game of the season, the Sonics were playing the Portland Trail Blazers. Detlef scored an efficient 18 points with a black eye, and made the defensive stop that won his team the game. Unfortunately, the Sonics would go on to lose to the 8th-seeded Denver Nuggets in the first round, after going up 2-0. Detlef played well, leading the Sonics in points and field goal percentage, but it was still a loss that hurt bad. The 94-95 season would earn Detlef his second All-Star selection. After starting all 82 games, he dropped a career-high 19.2 points, 6.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.1 steals. But what stood out was his efficiency. He shot 52.3% from the field and an insane 51.4% from three-point range. Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp were also All-Stars, and Detlef was named third-team All-NBA. The Sonics' first-round opponent were the 5th-seeded Los Angeles Lakers. Seattle won the first game in a blowout, but proceeded to lose the next 3 in another first-round exit. This was a trend in Detlef's career so far. Besides 2 early seasons in Dallas, his teams had never had much success in the playoffs. His Pacers had never made it out of the first round, and now on a more talented Seattle team, they were still coming up short. That would change the next year, as the 95-96 Sonics went 64-18. This team was so good, Detlef earned a spot alongside Shawn Kemp in the new NBA Jam. In the Western Conference semis, the Sonics swept the defending champion Houston Rockets. Detlef had 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1 steal, on 57.1% from the field and 40% from 3. After beating the Utah Jazz in 7 games in the West Finals, the Sonics made it to the 1996 NBA Finals, where they came face-to-face with the 72-10 Chicago Bulls. Seattle would lose in 6 games, but to their credit, they were arguably the toughest team the Bulls had to face in the finals. Their defense held Jordan to his statistically worst offensive finals, and Detlef played well with 16.3 points and 5 rebounds. He also led all players in scoring for Game 6, with 23 points. The next season, Detlef was chosen as an injury replacement for the 97 All-Star Game, with averages of 16.8 points, 6.5 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 1 steal. The Sonics finished 57-25, but were eliminated by the Houston Rockets in the second round. Seattle had a more successful 61-21 season in 1998, but it also came to an end in the second round, this time to the Lakers. Detlef's time with the Sonics would come to an end in 1999, as the team didn't even make the playoffs after going 25-25. Detlef would join the Portland Trail Blazers for the 99-2000 season. At this point, he was 37 years old, and went back to his role of being an important reserve off the bench. The Blazers went 59-23, before losing to the Lakers in the famous 2000 West Finals. Detlef would spend one more year with the Blazers, that would end with him getting swept by the Lakers in the first round. Detlef retired from the NBA at 38 years old, and in 2021, he was inducted into the FIBA Hall of Fame.